Hey y'all, welcome to the T-Work podcast, hosted by Grant Banko and me, Adam Moreau. From entrepreneurs and athletes to the rat racers of corporate America and those who refuse to be put in a box, we want to share their stories and understand how they ended up where they are. Success and development come in many shapes and sizes. We want to hear about it all. So grab a drink and pull up a seat. Let's spill some tea and get to. Hey everyone, today we have Tyle Hankins with us. Tyle Hankins is the head baseball coach at the University of Science and Arts in Oklahoma. He is an extremely successful baseball coach, whether you look at it at the NAIA level, the summer collegiate level. He had a pretty solid playing career, both junior college and D2. Ultimately, his academics shine through and his leadership skills, bringing him to this coaching world. But that's definitely something we want to learn more about. Tyle and I got connected in the summer of 22 with the Savannah Bananas. It was my second year with the Bananas. Tyle, was that your second or third year with the Bananas?
That was my second year with the Bananas.
Okay, second year with the Bananas, and you had been a coach there, left, took a head coaching job, then went to the Cape, if I'm not mistaken, then came back for a little bit of fun, win one last championship. But maybe that's the launching off point. Like let's even chat about that summer. I mean, that was crazy. It was, for me at least, it was like I knew it was the beginning of the end for what we were doing with
Yeah.
the summer collegiate baseball in the Coastal Plain League with the Bananas, and we certainly went out on top. So, I mean, what is it that like, what's so special to you about summer collegiate baseball?
Man, probably just the relationships you can make with all the new guys that you bring in every summer and the coaching staff. I'm really big on relationships and I think with that goes along with as much as you can learn from each player and coach. That's kind of what I do in my career is I take everything that I learn, whether it be from a player or a coach, and try to put a spin on it and kind of make it work for us at what we do. So that's kind of, and just the fact that you get to be out there playing baseball every day. You're living the dream when you don't have to do anything but coach baseball. So.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was able to witness for you, and I was even telling Banko about it when we were doing some like prep for this interview, is I said your ability to not just create relationships, but really nurture them, I always found impressive. Like one of the things that like I sing your praises on, probably haven't said it to you enough, but I say it I say it behind your back, is that every time I would show up to the field, you would be on the phone, getting ready to talk to someone, earphones in, just like how you are now, going out to do field work, going out to like do a little workout routine, something like that. Like I found that so impressive and so endearing that you would not waste a second to catch up with someone, to see how somebody was doing, but also take care of the things that you need to take care of to ensure the job gets done. So like the I think we can go down a couple different rabbit holes off of that, but even like I want to start with during summer, you're obviously away from your main job. You're all your guys back home. Like, how is it that you can create these relationships in a new place in a short stint, but also maintain them elsewhere back home when you're on the road?
Yeah, so I kind of, number one, thank you for everything you said. But just kind of the ability to stay in touch with guys and follow them. That's kind of what I try to do is just reach out to somebody at least once a week that I've coached in the summer. Had some really good connections as far as meeting guys, and it's fun to watch their careers keep going. One guy, for example, when I was up in Cape Cod, Quinn Matthews at Stanford, you
Hmm.
know, I got really close to Quinn, and then just kind of would just I don't want to bug him, but just hey, saw you pitch last night, you did a great job, and just keep the relationship going. And That's just something that what I kind of did was, man, they always want to take a picture at the end of the summer, all the guys that you coach with. And I kind of put those in my office. That way, every once in a while, hey, I'll look up and see them and be like, hey, I need to reach out to that guy,
Hmm.
just kind of keep in touch with them. And it's fun just to sit there and watch them progress and keep playing. Very fortunate to coach some guys that are still playing in pro ball and some guys that are still in college. So when you get to see them pitch in Omaha or play in the bigs, it's really fun to sit there and be like, you know what, I probably didn't have a lot to do with that, but at least I got to throw BP to them or just encourage them a little bit. So
Yeah, one of the things, like even you said, like coaching some guys in pro ball, coaching some guys that are like playing in Omaha, what I think is so unique, given your position coaching at like top level NAIA school. I mean, you guys are as good can be when it comes to NAIA ball, without a doubt. And then you've had all these awesome spots during the summer where you've coached elite talent from every level. So like I know you and I have talked about, you have guys in the Padres organization. You have guys that get drafted every year. You have guys that are in all levels of indie ball, or guys that are just competing for a spot for their next program. So I mean, you've seen it from the lowest levels of college baseball to the highest levels of college baseball. Like, is there something that you see, like a commonality with all these guys, or like what is it that enables you to create these relationships, both unique, but also like you guys always have that common ground?
yeah, the main thing I've noticed with the guys that are playing at that level is just the attention to detail, everything they do, and that's kind of how I am as far as what I try to do in my daily life is, I tell my guys every day, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I have to be really organized in everything. And if I don't, it drives me crazy and probably everybody else around me crazy. Uh, but that's the main thing I see with those guys who are playing at such a high level is their attention to detail, their routines, how they go about everything they do. And that's kind of a common ground for us, a good starting point to talk and hey, all right, let's talk about your daily routines. What do you do?
Mm.
And just stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I witnessed, even just like watching you coach, watching you be around, um, I think you operate with this kind of like observatory nature. Like you know so much, you've experienced so much, but you're never the first one, from what I've witnessed, to go tell people what you know. I feel like you have this awesome knack of just being there, for whether it's being there to learn more, or being there when your player comes calling, or when the situation appears. Like, is that something you learned over time, or like how did you grow into that role?
I'm a pretty quiet guy at times. I just like to sit back and observe a lot. And then kind of just early in my career when I started coaching summer ball, I had a coach tell me, he was like, "Hey, you're here to help them in whatever they want to do." You know, and I kind of just took that to heart. And then especially when I got up to the Cape, a little overwhelmed with the amount of talent we had. We had 17 guys get drafted or signed that summer, and it was one of those things where I was just like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna be here to. If they have questions, I'm gonna do my best to answer it, but I'm just gonna try and sit back and learn. Take notes." I kept a journal that summer with me on everything that Coach Roberts talked about, how I would see guys go about their daily business. And then, the fun part is when they do come to you, then I can really start picking their brain, but I don't want to be the first guy to just go, "Hey, you're doing this," because I mean, they're there for a reason, at that level. So I'm just kind of the one to sit back and observe. And then, when we do get to that point where the relationship gets built, they get comfortable, they want to come talk to you. That's when I feel like we really just take off. And, that's when I can start picking their brain. They can
Mm.
ask me any questions and we can try to come up with a solution.
So now, this might be a tough one for you. I feel like I might be putting you between a rock and a hard place. But I can tell you like one of the like I love being on the field, but there's nothing more valuable to me in a coaching setting than like the development sector, like having just a few guys with you for a conversation. Now, you are running a program competing to win a national championship right now at USAO. And then you've also been in these settings where you've been able to be more of the developmental coach or have a very specific role with these very personal relationships. Do you have one you favor over the other? And then if so, like, do you have reasons why?
I've always said that I'm a better assistant coach than the head coach. Just the fact that when you're the assistant, man, you can kind of go out there and you get to coach a lot more,
Yeah.
and it's not a shot at being the head coach, but you have to a lot more things that go on daily that you have to address as far as meetings, if there's any issues off campus, just a lot of stuff, planning and all that stuff. But I do love being the head coach. It's a lot of fun. I do miss the ability to just go out there and not have a care in the world except, hey, we're gonna accomplish our mission today on what we're trying to do as the assistant. So that was a lot of fun for me. I was really big when I was the assistant on early work, you know, um,
Oh yeah.
just getting as many guys as I could out there and, hey, let's go 3 guys in the cage, before class, let's get some work done. And then getting on the field early and doing some defense stuff. But, it's a good balance for me as far as now I've got to manage, hey, all this stuff as far as off baseball, meetings and stuff up top on the hill, and then come back and all right, now let's get to work. Now I can kind of clear my mind and just focus on baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty unique perspective. One thing that I always talked to the head coach at Eckerd when I was coaching there. When I was his assistant, we would always joke around that I got to be the good news guy as an assistant. And when you're the
Oh
head coach,
yeah,
it really sucks, but you become the bad news guy. It's not
oh yeah,
quite good cop, bad cop, but like whenever you come around as the assistant, it's either like the arm around the shoulder. It's like, what awesome thing are we going to do today? This new drill, this new scheme, like
oh yeah,
a new objective versus when coach shows up, it's what did we mess up? What did we do wrong? Who's academically ineligible? Who missed an assignment? It's that like that dichotomy is so strange, but like it's so easy to be a best friend or like a big brother when you're in the
oh
assistant
yeah.
versus when you're the head coach, you're the boss man.
Yeah, I had the best way I had it put to me was from my boss when I first got to USAO, Mike Ross. He's like, "Hey, you're the middleman on this. They're going to come to you with stuff that they don't want to talk to me about. They're going to come to you with little problems, and it's just stuff that they don't want to talk to me, but they feel comfortable with you, and it's just, hey, how are we going to handle it then?" And you're exactly right. Like there can't be two generals on the field usually.
Yeah,
There's got to be one guy that's, hey, this is how it's going to go. This is what we're going to do. And then the assistant is like, hey, let's get it done. Whatever we can do, and just be that shoulder that they feel comfortable talking to all the time, and that's how it is as a head coach. You want that relationship too, but it does change when you become the head coach a little bit.
right,
You have to be, hey, this is how it's going to go, guys. And then as the assistant, it's kind of like, all right, let's get it done. So,
right. Yeah, it's the like in your position now, you write the lineup and they have to respect it. But when you're the assistant, like they go to like, hey, like what do I need to do to get my name on there? And it's just like,
yeah.
it's hey, like we got this. You need like better routes in the outfield. And you're right there. Like it has nothing to do with your offense, just like right now Tyle doesn't trust you enough on that route. Like we got to know that you're locked down on defense. Like it's so easy to like flip the switch with a
Oh,
guy and
yeah. Hmm.
talk about that in that like very comfortable one-on-one setting. But like head coach has so much to handle at any given moment. It's so hard to have those relationships. But
Oh, yeah.
Banko, so I know we talked about early work already. You were an early work god. Like I think I don't know if it was because you were trying to schmooze for playing time. But you showed up to every single bit of early work that was ever offered. you were a tee work god as well. I think you took more reps in the cage just banging balls off the tee than anybody I had ever seen in my entire life. So like I'm curious from your perspective now, like both from a player and like trying to improve maybe as like your younger years as an employee to like now where you are, like how have you seen like that early work develop for you? Like can have you taken that early work to the workplace? Are there different things you can do from a prep perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was a little bit of schmoozing, to be honest with you. Getting there 3 hours before practice. But it was also a mental thing. I mean, it was very much like, I mean, as we've had different conversations with other people, it's you're putting in the work, so it's building up the confidence and doing that extra work and building the confidence that that you prepared. So that was the other mindset. Going into the workplace, it does exist to some extent. It definitely depends on a role to role basis. And it's very much, I mean, there is a bit of a game to it as well. I mean, it is being in person building, but it really relates back to what Tyle said. And it really is, even in the office world, is a relationship business, and who you have good relationships with, who you can contact. I mean, and I was going to get into this, but I didn't want to interrupt you guys back and forth. Is very much you focused on sort of the player relationships that you have, Tyle, and looking at my career in sort of the finance world, like you make these relationships throughout your career early on, and then 4 or 5 years later, you're like, oh, I can reach out to. I haven't talked to this person in 3 years, but I had this relationship when I was there, and now I can actually just shoot them a text, shoot them an email, and say, "Hey, can we grab coffee? I see there's an opportunity here. Can we catch
Yep.
up and talk?" And that's led to different opportunities. So I'm interested to hear from the baseball world outside of players, looking at sort of your different coaching experience, different leagues. How have some of your relationships that you built with coaches or high school coaches, et cetera, helped you in your career because you have been so successful early on?
Yeah, man, it's been really good. I've had the privilege to work for a lot of great baseball minds. And some guys, some of the buddies I've coached with are now out of baseball. They're doing different things, with families, and they've started different businesses. But for me, it's always the ability just to, hey, reach out if I need something. Like, hey, I need to bounce an idea off you. When you were coaching, or guys that are still coaching, how would you handle the situation? Or hey, I need a drill for this. I got this kid who's doing this, and I'll be the first to tell you I don't know everything. It's how I am. Everything I've learned in this game I've taken from somebody else. So it's the ability that you have that relationship where you feel comfortable enough going, hey, coach, I I got this guy. I need some help. And the other thing too is they may see one little tweak in the engine that they're like, hey, this is what I see. What do you see? And then you can kind of bounce that off of it and be like, well, I didn't even see that. Just getting a different set of eyes on it. And then obviously just a relationship as coaches, you need to vent sometimes. You need to just get some stuff off your chest, and that's always good to have that buddy that you can be like, all right, dude, I don't need you to say a word. I just need 2 minutes to get to say some stuff, and have that relationship where they're like, yep, you know what, got it off. Now let's go to work. So, Mo knows what I'm talking about on that. I did
Yeah.
that plenty of him down in Savannah. So, whether it be recruiting or just off the field stuff, whatever, it's always good to have that guy in your back corner that will just sit there and be like, yep, all right, now you got it off your chest. Let's get back to work. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
go ahead, Banko.
obviously that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, now that you're the head guy and sort of the general, that, as you put it, and sort of the bad news guy in Adam's words, as that relationship does change though as players graduate. So how have you seen that sort of relationship to sort of bounce ideas off of players that graduated and sort of being able to talk to them and be like, hey, when I was coaching you, like obviously I couldn't talk to you about these certain things. Looking back now, like how would you like me to handle these things? Has that relationship continued with some of the players that have graduated?
yeah, when I made the transition to the head coach, I had been the assistant there for 4 years or 3 years, and it was one of those deals where when I first made the transition, some guys and even I struggled with it because of the relationships we had had. And unfortunately, it does change a little bit, but not a lot when you become the head coach. I try to let my guys know, hey, I love you. I'm here for you, but I see more than you do. And I'm going to push you as hard as I can to get the most out of you. Um, every recruit that comes in my door, I tell them, hey, I want this to be the best place as far as whether you have 5 ABs, 200 ABs. I want USAO to be the best experience you've had in college baseball. And that's just building that relationship as far as, hey, you're not going to like me on some days, and that's okay. But hopefully when you leave this place, you're going to look back and go, you know what? He gave me everything he had. And we can all go back when we were 18 to 22 years old, and a lot of the times we were sitting there going, why is coach being this? Why is he doing this? And then you kind of, as you get older, you're like, hey, it was for a purpose. May not have liked it in that moment, but it is always good to keep that relationship going with guys when they start, finding their careers, making a family. I always tell them, hey, I want you to come back to USAO and be proud of that you were here, that you had a big part in everything we do. And then that relationship where you can kind of be like, all right, hey, this is why I did this. And a lot of the times you find with guys that are like, you know what, coach, you were right. I appreciate it. I wish I would have listened more and not gave so much pushback. But it's always fun to follow those guys and keep that relationship going and just have the ability to hey, I'm still here for you, whatever you need, brother. I'll do whatever I can to help you in life. So
if I
That's a
can
great
hop back
approach.
in, there's two things I really wanted to hit on from the past couple questions that you've tackled for us, Tyle. One, I thought it was pretty funny when you were talking about like the honesty, the communication aspect, just like our little like war room mantra, me, you, and Fox always said it's not talking shit if you're telling the truth, which
facts,
yeah, so
facts.
that was always fun to go back on, like having these hard conversations, or like when you're venting, like we would try to catch ourselves, be like, is this something that I'm just upset about that's within my control, or is this
Yep.
something I have nothing to do with? And what we all decided on, because all of our feelings were very valid, is it truthful? Is it accurate? Is it
Yep.
factual? Okay, well then you're not talking shit. Then go ahead. Like
Yeah.
have your runway. Like just share it. If you're just being a dick to be a dick, then like, all right, that's on you. You need to stop now, go check yourself, figure it out.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to like revisit that because I love that you started to share that piece. Then one of the things that I've always noticed from you, and you hinted at in that the past couple answers, is your ability to empower, like whether it's empower people to speak up or empower people to like take the stage. Um, and obviously, like we mentioned, you like going out on the field, making phone calls while you're doing field work, things like that. Are there different like techniques you used, or is it a routine that you typically go through to empower people, or is that just how you communicate? Like, is that just natural for you?
Yeah. I mean, I want everybody to feel like they've got a voice, So whether it be, recruits, players, whatever we're talking about, hey, you've got a say in what we do. I was taught at a young age in my coaching career, hey, you know, I want you to have a reason why we're doing this.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, it is the head coach's choice. So I may not like it, and I'm going to tell you we're not going to do that, but you need to have a validation to your point.
Hmm.
So if you think we should do this, okay, hey, you got to have that. You've got to have that internal self drive to be like, all right, this is what we're going to do, and this is why I think we're going to do it, and communicate it with the head coach in a very respectable way. But at the end of the day, it is the head coach's choice, and that was taught to me very early on in my coaching career. Hey, you need to have a voice on what we do. I may not agree with it, and we may not do it, but I want you to speak up and tell me why. Um, and going back on the honesty portion, that's a big thing for me. Every recruit that comes in that door, I tell them, hey, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. You may not like it, but at least you know where we're at. And then when Jim Leland got inducted to the Hall of Fame, one of his quotes that I really took to heart was, hey, you know, I don't have it down to a T, but it was like, hey, if you lie to somebody, they're going to hate you for a lifetime. But if you're honest with them, a player may hate you for 24 or 48 hours and then they're over it. But if you lie to them, they're going to hate you for a lifetime. And the truth hurts, but you know what? At the end of the day, you'll respect it more because you know exactly where you're at. So that's just kind of how I like to operate. I'm not going to just be an a-hole to them, but I'm gonna be like, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we got to do to get better. It can go one of two ways, guys. We can either, we can shut down and be mad and pout, or we can just get to work and try to fix whatever we got to fix to get you where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you going back into that. Like I said, I saw the opportunity to kind of talk about those points, so I wanted to hop back in. But Banko, I don't want to kill your momentum.
No, you were good. It sounds like that war room is similar, replaced the late night walks that we used to do as roommates. So
Yeah, for
glad you
sure.
found a replacement for that, Adam.
Yeah, I needed it somewhere. Granted, like, was
Yeah,
it
no.
2 a.m. walking around our apartment complex, or was it 3 p.m. trying to figure out what we're gonna do after BP? You know?
Yeah, there's a little difference there, but not much. I mean, so getting into sort of those hard conversations, being brutally honest with players, Tyle. I mean, transitioning from the assistant coach to the head coach with some of the same players you were the assistant coach for to the head coach. I mean, what was sort of the hardest thing for you to sort of learn in those first couple of years of like having, because you had a different relationship and you had to slightly change it over time, and obviously new guys coming in, you are the head coach full time for them. So just interested to hear that.
Yeah, the main thing, and I still don't have it figured out, guys. I'll be the first to tell you. But was putting emotion aside. Sometimes in the moment we want to react, and I try to do the 24-hour rule. Hey, sit on it for a little bit. You don't want to say something in the moment that you'll regret. So kind of just put emotion aside, think about it. All right, hey, how are we going to handle this situation? Because a lot of the times as a head coach, you have to do things that is not the most popular to do, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of things that, hey, people are going to be mad about. They're not going to understand why you're doing it. Um, it's because ultimately you think it's going to be the best for your program or, best for the individual. So mainly just trying to put emotion aside and be like, okay, hey, what do we got to do to address the situation right here? Whether it be, something big, something small, you don't want to just jump in and make an emotional decision right out of the gate, because then it's not good for you or the player. So
Going off
Yeah,
of
that
that,
makes a lot of sense.
I going off of that, Tile, like, what one of the things, and it's funny, like, this has come up in a couple conversations that Banko and I have had recently. Um, how difficult is it to separate emotion when you recognize that the emotions and the feelings are valid or are real? Like, you obviously, like, baseball is hard. Competition is difficult. Like, people are going to get angry. They're going to get upset. Like, everybody has their own intentions and their own vision of how they're going to be successful. So, like, when you have to manage all these different relationships, how are you able to make that separation while still recognizing that these feelings that these guys have are very legitimate?
no, that's a great question. I kind of look at it as like, hey, as long as they know that you're there for them and you love them and you're giving them everything you got, you know, it's college baseball. Is This is one of the main things I kind of think about is not everybody's going to get as many opportunities as they want.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you put in, I mean, it's just kind of, unfortunately, it's the way it goes. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm still giving them everything I got, they know that they love, they have that relationship where it's like, hey, he's going to push me as hard as he can to give me the best opportunity. And at the end of the day, it's either going to happen or it's not. Like I'm going to cash in on my opportunity or I'm not. But at the end of the day, I still know that he's there for me. He's given me everything he has. I think that's the biggest thing. And trust. I want them to know that they can trust me on anything. I'll do anything I can to help them, and whether that be baseball, outside of baseball, life, anything, and just kind of just have that relationship where the difficult conversations happen, but at the end of the day, it's a very respectful conversation, where, yeah, you're not going to like always what the head coach has to say. We all been there. We've all, gone through that where it's like, hey, I don't know why we're doing this, but it's the ability to turn the page and be like, all right, now let's just get it done. So, that's probably the biggest thing for me, is just trying to build that relationship where they know at the end of the day, I'm going to be there for them and give them everything I have. Whether I don't really know if this answers the question or not that you're getting to, but that's probably the biggest thing for me.
No, I think that's down the right road. Like, there's never gonna be the perfect answer of like, how do you separate emotion but still validate those feelings? Like, it's you obviously know my fiance. She works in the mental health field. She's a social
Mhm.
worker. Like, this is something we battle with all the time when like I'm trying to get wins or get results, and she is trying to get people to recognize like their inner happiness or like their self,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those two like often don't line up, which is extremely difficult. Like, that's why like it to me it's always going to be a spectrum, or you have to like figure out like the right environment to have the conversations, at
Hmm.
least from what I've gathered just watching my fiance work. It's like listening to what she comes home with and like learning more and applying that to even my coaching or my conversations has been
Oh,
extremely.
100%. Yeah, without a doubt. So,
Yeah. Banko, so we're we're talking about these tough conversations. I want to know, like, like I obviously want to like poke and jab you talking like, to me, I never saw you have these tough conversations because you were every single coach's best friend. I mean, you had that knack, and like good or bad, you were extremely good at it, and I was not. So like from a player perspective, like I'm even curious, like how had you been able to navigate that with a coach, or like then taking it in the workplace? Like, you've had extreme upward movement since getting into the finance world. So like, you, as weird as it sounds, like you and I joke like when it comes to communication, like we joke about you being terrible at it, but you obviously have tremendous skills if you've been able to cultivate these relationships and constantly like move upward. Like, I just want to know, seriously.
Well, I appreciate that. From the player's perspective, I would say, I mean, I was kind of lucky early on in my career to have some really good coaches growing up, and through travel ball and through high school, I had really good coaches, and I played a lot as well in high school, so there was no really issue for me there.
Hmm.
And my coaches were always honest with me when I was playing bad and that I needed to step up. So that open communication existed with the coaches that I had early in my career.
Hmm.
And then coming into college, I think it carried over, and it was kind of that early work, and just there is this thing of always being in person, building a relationship, just being around. It's not even, you're not even talking to them, but if they're seeing you face to face in person, same with, I mean, now we're in the office of hybrid remote work, in office full time. There is a thing to say of, you're like, you don't have to interact with the people, but if you're there in person, they see you day in and day out. That kind of just puts it in the back of their head. It might be subconscious. So that's a piece of it. I would say the difference between me and my communication style and your communication style is, I pick the battles that I want to take on, where you take on every single battle, no matter what, and don't hold back. So I would say that I'm more strategic in that sense. But I mean, it was kind of how this podcast came about. I mean, the relationships that I've built over my career in finance has been conversations like this, reaching out, shooting an email to somebody that I don't know that works in a different department, saying, hey, I'm just interested in learning more about your career. Can we grab a cup of coffee for 30 minutes? And then asking questions and listening, not talking about yourself, actually being there to just pick and pry and not talk about yourself, but actually just being like, let that person talk about their career path, get their suggestions, their advice, and actually ask questions based on what they're saying and not just like have preset questions. Basically show that you're listening has been a big point for me. And I'm sure, Tyle, you've seen that with different players as well, just having those conversations and relationships, and the ones that you have better relationships with, who listens, who doesn't, you can sort of tell who cares in the sense.
Yes.
It is so I think that's a huge piece of, there's a difference of faking it and there's a difference of actually caring about what someone has to say.
100%, man. That was well said.
Yeah, and I guess Banko, easy talking about all this coffee stuff with people. This is a tea-based podcast. You know that.
Hey, it is a tea base, but you also know my caffeine addiction, and I have about 7 cups of coffee a day, so it'll be all right.
Yeah. All right. So Tyle, we've talked about a lot of conversations so far. Your ability to like build relationships. Now I'm curious about like how you take care of yourself, like how you feel you've set yourself up to learn and grow to the positions you're in. So like even coming out of your baseball career, like what was it that drove you into coaching, and like what do you think? Like same as Banko, like you're still in your young 30s and you're a head baseball coach for an unbelievably successful program. Like what do you think has set you apart, like in your routines, or like what's enabled you to have this growth?
You know, I've just been blessed to run into the right people along the way, you know, and keep those relationships going. You know, I I try to pride myself in working hard, and you
Hmm.
know, hey, like I said, attention to detail earlier, very detail oriented, and that goes along with my daily routines. You know, I've always said if somebody wanted to find me, it wouldn't be hard to, because I'm usually in the same spots almost every day. You know, get to the office early, uh, you know, and just kind of get to work. But you know, I what got me into coaching was honestly, you know, my junior year in my Division II, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. You know, I had my major. I thought I was going to do the high school teacher coach route. That's kind of what I was dead set on. And then obviously loved college baseball, and Gillum was our GA, you know,
Hmm.
and the amount of work that dude put in with me every day, early work, you know, that helped evolve me into being like, all right, hey, maybe this is what I want to do. Like the college baseball route. Like I saw how much love and care that dude had for each individual player, and the amount of work that he put in. I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. So ended up graduating from my D2, and since my major was a high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot, this and that. And then got fortunate enough to the head coach there, Dino, he offered me a chance to be a graduate assistant and get my master's. So I was like, all right, yeah, this is perfect. So did that, and then haven't looked back since. You know, it was one of those deals where I got my opportunity and very thankful for that, and just kind of kept going. And I think it's something that drives me every day is the fact that I want to be better. You know, I want to be the best I can, and just keep pushing and grinding for that. I'm not a big fan of the word grind. You know, everybody's doing it, so it's just kind of what you have to do to get where you want to be. So um, I would say the main thing that helped me get into coaching was the relationships that I had with my coaches, whether it was high school, Coach Fixco, on to college with Gillum, and you know, then as soon as I got into GA, you know, just other coaches that have helped me, you know, helped me grow, like, you know, you and Fox, Ken Jarrett, all these guys, Coach Saunders, Bowen, Mike Ross, they've helped me continue to grow as a coach, and just, you know, want to be better each and every day.
Hmm. Yeah, I find that so unique. Like just one, how humble you are for how unique this is. Like you say like you've just benefited from great relationships and being lucky with timing. Like yeah, timing is a lot, but it's not everything. Relationships are a lot, it's not everything. And like that means there's this big gap that we still have to cover. And like I do think it's a great mindset that you have that like it's not the grind, it's just the price of entry. You know, like if I
Yeah,
want to do this and be successful at it, it isn't the grind, it's what's required of me.
yeah,
So like
exactly.
you like from my perspective, like listening you talk through this, like I feel like you have a really good knowledge and perception of what has to be done in order for you to achieve the success that you are after. And for you, it's not about like, I'm better than others, I work harder than others. For you, it's just like, okay, check that off the to-do list. I did that specific task that I needed. It's on to the next one. What's in front of me? Um, you're obviously super task oriented. Like, is that how you set up your day? Like, are you a to-do list guy or is it just like daily? Is it weekly? Like, how's that set up for you?
I do write everything down like that way I'm a big when I can cross things off as far as tasks that I got to get done. I'm really big on that. But I think it's just a lot of internal drive of okay, hey, I've been blessed, like I said, and here we go again,
Hmm.
to see how some of the best guys do it on a daily basis. Like how what they have to do to be successful. Like, I learned from some really great coaches where it was like sit back and observe and watch them and what's the main factor each one of them have is the ability to get things done on a daily basis, achieve the goal of what you set out to achieve, whether it be something very small or something massive. But we have that mindset and drive of, hey, we got to be better today than we were yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I really love studying and reading a lot. That's been really beneficial for me in my career, and love watching Nick Saban go about his business. He's one of the best for a reason, and I really just sit back and try to listen to what he says a lot. And you can ask my guys. I've showed them a lot of his clips, probably to the point where they're like, "Dude, we're done with this." But one of my favorite ones that he had was the importance of nothing. When you wake up, you are guaranteed nothing, and if you do nothing, you will get nothing. So, kind of took that one to heart as, hey, what you want to get out of life is what you're going to put into it. So, just, do everything you can. And at the end of the day, if you got better today, then you did your job.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess I'm gonna sort of try to pry a little bit and sort of get the more details of what that routine looks like. If you were to ask one of our best friends' wives about myself, her descriptive word for me is obsessive. So I've tried anything and everything out of the book on different daily rituals and routines and changed it over time. So I'm interested, sort of, what are the day-to-day things that you've tried and continue to do and tried and sort of put to the side? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, for the big, talking about, I'm a big morning coffee guy. No offense to the tea right here, but every morning I get up and I get my coffee and I try to read a little bit in the morning, and then start doing some emails, knocking emails off, and then planning out the day. So, like really big on, I want my guys to know exactly what we're doing that day. So usually by 8:30, the practice plan is sent out every day in our group meet. I want them to, for me, if they know what we're trying to accomplish, there's no wasted time at practice, and we don't have any time to waste. Um, so that's kind of where that goes, and then um, when I get done with that, I try to give myself about 45 minutes to go work out. Just kind of, in the morning, get a good workout in, whether it be some cardio or a lift, I feel like that helps my mind and helps me just kind of get a release for a little bit and then go knock out some field work. That's my saving grace too, is when I can get on the mower and put my headphones in and listen to something. That's my saving grace, and then go get some lunch, come back to the field. Usually try to get there and do some early work with guys, and then we'll do some practice and try to when practice is over, I try to shut it off, and I'm not very good at it. I'm a guy that will overthink on everything. And my fiance, she tells me all the time, "Hey, you gotta shut it off a little bit." So bless her heart on that. She puts up with a lot from me. She's my saving grace on everything. So, but no, I am, like I said earlier, if somebody wanted to find me, it wouldn't be hard to, because my routines are pretty much set every day. So
Yeah, and it sounds like you're very much a wake up and get straight to work instead of sort of different people approach it differently. I mean, I sort of take my time in the morning before I start getting into the work part of things, but no, it's definitely good to hear different approaches. I mean, going into sort of, you said you like to read, you study Nick Saban as well. What kind of books is it for fun reading? Is it sort of biographies? What kind of books are you trying to learn from or read?
a little bit of everything, biographies. Big John Gordon fan. All of John Gordon's books, kind of how they tie into the coaching life and everything. Big fan of those. And then just different ones. Gillum's been really good to me on giving me, hey, you need to read this book, you need to listen to this podcast. And I just think that you can learn something from everybody. David Goggins on the mental stuff. That dude's an animal. Big fan of that. Not everybody is like that, so it's always good to take little bits and pieces from everybody and try and tie it into what you want to accomplish as an individual.
Yeah, I'm not sure Adam's the biggest fan of the Goggins approach that some people take, but
Oh,
we'll
I
just
know,
put it
he's not.
there.
I had to say it. I had to say it just to get it. I was trying to get a reaction, and I didn't get
You
anything
got the
out of it.
Yeah,
smile.
he
You
held
got the
back.
smile.
He held
Yeah,
back.
there it
He held
was. That
back.
was just a little bit from summer right there, where I was just wanting to get a little
Yeah,
little
no,
little
that's
emotion out of it.
I understand the purpose of it all. That's it. I see why others see value in what is being presented. That
Oh,
that's that is my
Oh
I
take.
hope,
man.
I hope we get him on here one day just so we can have that
Goggins, yeah,
conversation.
write that down on the goal guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
let me add that to the
100%.
list.
But I mean, I'm gonna sort of spin it to Adam actually in this conversation. I mean, we've talked about sort of the finance world, but obviously, I mean, Tal's mentioned a lot about relationships and timing, and just some of it being luck, which is, I mean, a lot of successful people there is a little bit of luck and timing. I mean, looking at your career path and where you're at now with Flex Pro Grip and everything, I mean, that was definitely not, and from my understanding, you're kind of playing right out of college.
Not at
I
all.
mean, at one point, I was living with two of our buddies in St. Pete, and you came and slept on our couch, and you were literally researching for 6 hours a day, writing notes and reading papers. I mean, you kind of did the grind part, but then there was also some luck to it. So I want you to sort of talk to that and sort of how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, hey, I won't tell the full story now, but like as you said, like that spring 2019, like that real like launching point for Flex Pro Grip, when we were on the precipice. Like, is this what we are going to pursue full time? But like also like my plan B, as crazy as it sounds, was like trying to coach in pro ball. Like, as you know, that's why I came to St. Pete anyways, because I had these interviews and they told me I needed to coach in college if I was ever going to. They wanted to see the same results I got in the private sector with a team. So I was like, all right, well, there's no better place to do it than in St. Pete. I can go back to Eckerd. I've got a head coach that believes and trusts me. I have my best friends and I have my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, all in one place. And then I can just dedicate, like you said, 6 to 8 hours a day, sitting in the best weather imaginable, just staring at a laptop screen. Like for me, like, yeah, I do tend to agree a lot with what Tyle said. Like it's like I'll throw the word grind out all the time, but I also understand like that's the price of admission. Like if I wasn't willing to dedicate myself to that, like no, like I don't deserve to be where we're at with Flex Pro Grip. Like that was the work that needed to be done for me, a guy who never went to med school, a guy who never studied physical therapy. Like, yeah, I loved performance training and I dedicated myself to getting better at it, learning it, but I didn't go to school for it. Like, I just took the necessary tests along the way to get the certifications. Like, for me, like that whole process, in like making that sacrifice was all for like the greater goal, which I know you've heard me talk about before, Banko. Like my whole dream was to play Major League Baseball. The second I found out that I couldn't play Major League Baseball, it was how do I help as many people possible play Major League Baseball or play the game as long as they can. And because injury ultimately took it away from me, like that's what took me on this path. Like first with performance training and then to Flex Pro Grip. So like when I was ready to be done each day or when I was ready to call it quits, like it was simple. Like I could go back to what was most important. Like if I stop now, am I potentially holding someone back from playing professional baseball? Is this another person who can't rehab? Is this another person who just is at a loss because they got TJ? Like as much weight as I added to my own shoulders, like that's also what drove me every single day. So like it's like the classic like everybody looks like an overnight success because they don't see all the work that led up to the one night where it became the overnight success. And like I feel like we're still kind of in that gray area with Flex Pro Grip. Like it's gonna blow up one day. Like I believe in what we do, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But I know we're going to have that at some point. And thankfully, like the dominoes are starting to fall the way that we need them to. So I don't know if that takes us too far off of like this journey or this path that we're on with Tyle, but like you asked about like my grind set during that like 6 month period. And you know, it was a good bit of sacrifice, but it was very intentional given the exact goals that I wanted to accomplish.
I can
No,
kind
that
of
actually was. Go ahead.
sorry to cut in as I can kind of vouch for that the summer we spent together in Savannah. If I can hit on one thing with
Mhm.
Mo is the fact that how organized he was in his daily things out there. You get to the field early, do some work with some guys. Really big with the catchers on everything he did with them, and then the minute we had a break, as far as hey, we got all of our field work done, we got BP out of the way, the other team's hitting BP. He's in there just going to work on anything that he had to do that day, as far as Flex Pro, setting up meetings, doing Zooms, whatever he had to do it was like bam, knocking that out. Now right back to work, and there was no wasted time whatsoever. So that's the biggest thing I can hit on with Mo is his attention to detail on everything that summer that I noticed.
Thank you. Yeah, and of course, like all the attention to detail of growing Flex Pro Grip and then trying to win some ball games, like maybe resulted in a couple fights with Corey, but like, hey, we got a wedding scheduled, so like, I guess it
You,
couldn't have been that bad.
you do. I still got to put that speech together for that, so that'll be fun. That's a lot of pressure.
You got a lot of
Um,
time. Don't worry.
yeah. No, I mean, I sort of went that route too, because I mean, Adam, you sort of went to the side of like Tile saying a lot of luck, a lot of relationship. Does that really play into it? I mean, it did play into yours as well. I mean, there was a luck of sort of how it came about and where you're at today. I mean, there's definitely always a piece of that. I think in any success story that I've heard, it's not always hey, just do these 10 steps for 5 to 10 years and you'll automatically get this. There is some timing pieces to it, I believe.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Like I guess I got lucky in a couple regards. Like Tyle and I probably never would have met, or at least not in the setting we did, if I wasn't willing to bet on myself reaching out to Gillum. Like honestly, first because I was trying to get recruits to come to Eckerd. And then I was like, you know what, I've got him on the phone. I might as well just see. I got to see if there's like a job opportunity in Savannah. Like I'm trying to grow as a coach. I'm trying to grow what I can. Like, yeah, I believe in Flex Pro Grip, but like I also love coaching. Like to me, there's like nothing better than like helping guys get better. And I was like, I can't imagine a better place to do it than Savannah. So like it was luck, like I took advantage of an opportunity that was in front of me. And like I went through like a big phase of saying closed mouths don't get fed. And like to me, that's ultimately like why I said that to Gillum, like asking if there are opportunities in Savannah. Because like if I didn't ask, like nothing would have been there. Like the answer I got from Gillum was like, yeah, I don't know yet. Like, I think we might have something. Like, it's not official though. Like, but if we do, would you be interested? I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, just keep me in mind. And then like a month later, I got a FaceTime call from him. Like Gilman and I didn't talk for a month, and I missed a FaceTime call from him that was just like, he just wanted to grill me on my thoughts for growing a performance aspect to what the Bananas were doing. And like that was like our interview, I guess. Like it was weird. Like it was nothing about a job. It was nothing about like coming to Savannah. He was just like, if you had to build out a budget for a summer ball team to incorporate performance training, how would you do it? And like that, like we just talked for like 45 minutes and he was like, all right, man, like really appreciate it. Like I'll get back to you soon. Like I'm definitely gonna have some more questions on this. But like I was like, I don't know where this is going. And but thankfully, like ultimately, like he offered me a job and like so like yeah, there's a lot of luck involved, but also I never would have been in that position if I didn't put in the work ahead of time to get lucky. You know, like that's I
Yeah, and I
feel
think that's
yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
that's a good distinction to put ahead of. It's not just like, I mean, I don't know the quote and I'm going to screw it up anyways. It's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have the opportunity and not be prepared. I mean, that's a huge thing. I think that's a lot the big piece of the luck. And I I'm going to circle back to the guest. I mean, obviously, we're always going to be on the show talking about different things. But I mean, Tyle, I mean, looking at, yeah, bye, Adam. I mean, Adam mentioned trying to get into coaching, and like he was trying to go into pro ball, and they were like, oh, you have to have college experience. Obviously, I know this, like, you started out high school coach was the goal, and now college. And I know it's very early in your career, but as that thought process entered your head of like, what do you see as a career path? Do you see yourself staying in college ball, or what's kind of long term goals looking like for you?
You know, I've always wanted to get into pro ball, just like Mo. You know, kind of found my calling in college. Am happy doing this, but you know, would always entertain that opportunity if it ever presents itself. You know, been very fortunate just to coach in college and learn from great minds. But yeah, I would definitely love to get into pro ball at some time.
Hmm. And what role do you think you'd be best suited for? Obviously, there's hundreds now when you look at pro
Yeah,
ball. Like, is
yeah,
there one that like you keep in mind? Like for me, like it was always director of player development. Like that to me, that was the perfect like tie between the front office and on-field coaching, but like so focused on development and getting like moving people up. That was my goal. Like winning was one thing, but like I wanted to see that upward movement. Like what about you?
yeah. For me, it would be something on field. You know, on field coaching, whatever it may entail on that, whether it's defense, hitting, base running, anything I can do just to stay on the field. I'm not the most technological savvy person, you know. So the biggest thing for me is I just love being on the field and coaching. And all right, hey, all the stuff that they give us, let's translate it. Let's figure out how to make it work for the individual.
Yeah. And I mean, I can attest to that. Like you were so versatile in what I've seen you do just in one summer. And now you wear every single hat as a head coach. Like if you like tooting your own horn, like if you if you have to say like what specific like element sets you apart or what discipline sets you apart, what do you think it is? Like what's your number one? Like Tyle, he is the blank guy.
Probably for me, it would be infield defense.
Mhm.
You know, and that comes along with just honestly being with Gillum for so long,
Yeah.
learning everything. You know, that dude is a guru on defense and stuff. And like I said, learning from Coach Roberts on the base running, and then Gillum as well. I would say probably infield D and base running. Just that those are two things that I take pride in. You can ask my guys. I probably wear them out too much about it. It's, hey,
Mhm.
I want our fielding percentage to be here. I want all you guys to win a Gold Glove, and I want to steal a lot of bases. Put as much pressure on the team as we can, and just go achieve our goals. We go through our daily vitamins every day. You know that you've been there.
Mhm.
It's just that's probably my main thing is that I harp on every team we have about our defense. So
Yeah. Banko, you got anything on that?
On the baseball coaching world, not really. I gave up that dream
You
a
don't
long
care
time ago.
anymore.
No, I did the coaching thing while I was in college when I got hurt, and
Yeah.
just didn't want to pursue that route. So definitely, I mean, I'll if I ever have kids one day, I'll probably coach them, but we'll see. I mean, I think a good perspective to also have is from Tyle being a head coach now and recruiting and having experience recruiting, looking at different leagues as well, and having exposure to different players. When you're looking at high school guys or JUCO guys and you're recruiting them to your school, outside of talent, obviously that's going to come into play. But what other things do you look for in a player off the field, on the field, how they react? What are you looking for?
just kind of how they go about their daily stuff. I'm really big on hey, we can fix swings, we can fix mechanics, all that stuff, but you either have the will to compete or you don't. Are you going to be a guy that goes hard all the time? Just like I said, I tell every recruit, hey, we can fix little things, but you either have that desire to compete and get better each and every day, or you don't. And if you do, you're going to have a lot of success here. Uh, it's kind of like, do they like to be coached? That's a big thing for us because I love to coach. That's what I do. I tell all the guys when we recruit them, hey, if you don't like to be coached, this probably isn't the best spot for you. And I'm not trying to deter anybody away, but it's, hey, I brought you here to make you better. I brought you here to help us achieve our goals. I see you're a really good player. I think there's more that we can do. So that's kind of a big thing for me is I'm going to push my guys as much as possible to get the most out of them. And sometimes, it's they're like, gosh, is he ever going to give me a break? He's on my tail every day, each and every day. But it's for me, it's that I see more than they do. I see the vision of where we need to be. Because if you remember as a player, you're like, you don't see things coaches see. You're just like, all right, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is what I need to go. Nope, there's always another level, another gear we can go to for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and how do I
you
was going to
take
say,
it.
how do
You
you?
take it.
I was going to say, how do you build that trust with a player? I mean, from personal experience, I've had different coaches that I've trusted and didn't trust, and sort of it's harder to make changes and be coachable, as you say, when you don't have that trust with a coach and sort of not understanding what they're trying to do for you when you don't trust them. How do you build that trust with those players so they are more coachable for you?
For me, it's having that relationship where you bounce ideas back and forth off each other. Okay, hey, number one, if you're there every day and you're out there with them every day, they're going to see you're invested, you're bought in, you know. And then I want them to have a say in like, okay, hey, what are you feeling right now? All right, why do you think we're getting to this point? Like they need to be able to have the relationship where they can tell you exactly what they feel and what they think, but they have the trust in you to understand, okay, hey, he's not trying to tear me down in any way. It's like, okay, hey, this is what I'm feeling today. All right, well, this is what I'm seeing. Let's find a common ground of what we're trying to accomplish. Um, you know, I we talk about all the time, hey, when we bring recruits in, we're never going to overhaul the engine. We brought you here for a reason. You've got a good skill set, whatever it may be. We're going to make minor tweaks to the engine along the way. I wouldn't bring a guy in to completely just wipe them clean. And by that point, if we're looking at a JUCO guy we bring in, it's too late. It's too late if we're just going to completely tear them down and restart. So it's just minor tweaks to the engine, minor adjustments that are going to, hopefully prepare you and get the most out of what we are trying to accomplish and give you a chance to play as long as you can.
I think a lot of what you said even brings this full circle, right? Like everything you talk about when you're recruiting, when you're looking to bring in guys, like that's what the same things you mentioned, like empowering these guys, trusting these guys. You brought them in for a reason. You recognize the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they have, and it is giving them the opportunity to not only improve them, but also show them off. To me, a lot of that goes back to what you said at the beginning. It's you've been able to be successful. And again, we called you successful. You don't need to toot your own horn. We know you're successful, but you were able to recognize what people do well, what you can learn from them, and as well as the little areas that you can hop in and enhance what they already do. And like I do think that's what makes you special as a coach, when you recognize what is the correct fit, but you also recognize what's the wrong fit. And you're upfront with people about it. So it all comes back to the honesty.
Yeah, I mean, for us and what we do with our program, culture is a big thing.
Mhm.
Right out of the gate, they have to know the standard. Like, hey, standard never changes. It never wavers. Whether you're the best player or an average player, it never is going to change. I tell them every year when we start, um, when we talk about what we want to accomplish out of the season. Okay, guys, I'm like, hey, expectation level. My expectation level is never going to change. My expectation level is that you play the game hard, you play it the right way, you play it for everybody in this locker room and represent what's on the front of the jersey. Our goals each and every year, those goals are going to change depending on, the group you have. Hey, we're going to compete for a conference championship. We want to compete for a chance to go to the World Series. So for me, it's like expectation level and goals, two different things. Expectation level is never going to change. This is what we do. This is what it is what it is. Everybody knows it. Everybody tries to buy into it. And if you don't, it's probably not a good fit. Talking to, we have these meetings every year before we even start is, hey, I can sit here and stack quarters one by one by one by one. But if I have one bent quarter, I can't stack any more on top of that. Same thing with us. If we have one guy that's not bought into what we're trying to accomplish, we're only going to get as high as it lets us go. So for us, it's just establishing that culture and letting them know, hey, I'm here for you, I love you, and we're all in this together. No egos are allowed in that locker room. For me, it's egos got to be put aside. Nobody in this place can have an ego. We're all here for one reason. I tell them all the time, let's be honest, guys. You wouldn't be in Oklahoma right now if it wasn't for baseball. Let's be real. We're here to get that education. Yes, we're going to get that degree first, but we're going to try and accomplish a lot of our goals in baseball as well.
I think you already gave me fuel for the next time we have you on. And I think that exact theme is going to be the difference between expectations and goals. So
Yep.
I'm about to write that down, because like you, if I don't write it down, it's never gonna happen. So I'm about to do that the second we finish up. I know we've already had you on for over an hour now. So I'm going to take my last question, Banko. I don't know if you'll have anything after it, but my last one is, will the Drovers be back in Lewiston this year?
Man, we hope so. We've got a long ways to go. I've got a really good group. I love my guys. They make coming to the yard enjoyable each and every day. You can never. There's a lot that has to go on, and you have to. Let's be real. You have to get lucky to make it up there.
Yes.
There's a lot of luck that goes into that. But if I can brag on my guys for one thing, it's uh, they show up to the yard every day and work their tails off. They put the work in. I love this group. They make coming to the yard enjoyable. So whatever happens, I'm happy with the group. I love them. They make my job, my life better each and every day. So
All right. You heard it here first. 66-0 national champions,
hey,
USAO.
hey, if that happens, then I'm coming on this podcast each and every day. So you boys better get ready. So
We'll hold you to that. We'll hold you to
Yeah.
that. No, and I'm not going to ask any other questions. We're going to end it with that. I look forward to seeing your success going forward, Tyle, and I appreciate you taking the time with us.
thank you guys for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure. Getting to meet you. It's been awesome. And then obviously Mo and I have a great relationship, dude. I still bounce ideas off of him each and every day. He's one of my good friends. So I'm very grateful to have y'all, and thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Tyle. Go Drovers.
Yeah, go Drovers.
Hi, everyone. Grant here. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you could like, share, and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you think you or someone you know has a good life story to tell, we are always open to guest suggestions. You can send those suggestions to our email, tworkpod@gmail.com. Thanks again for the support.